Hey everybody, your logical libertarian here. We're a few minutes late. It's 8:06. Sorry, I was out with my fiance. I had to use the restroom when I came back, and no one was able to come on with me tonight, so it's just gonna be me. So what we're gonna be doing is we are gonna be taking on um a MGTOW. Now this is someone I've been subscribed to for a few years. His name is Turtling Monkey. He's not an idiot. He's brings up a lot of interesting issues, a lot of interesting points about human nature. Um, However, what I do think, as much as I think he does have good ideas, um, let's change this out. First, we'll just do this. It's change the name here real quick. So it's there you guys go. You get to see me put that in there. All right, so it should be good. Anyway, back to it. So this guy, he's usually pretty good. Where I disagree with him is how he views society should be. I don't agree with him on that. I think that Turtling Monkey brings up. It's essentially the irony is he advocates for a patriarchy, but states that we don't live in one. He's kind of the opposite. Most MGTOW, serious MGTOW, are the exact opposite of third wave feminists. Third wave feminists will tell you we live in a patriarchy that's racist and sexist, and just white men are seen above everything else. A MGTOW would tell you the exact opposite. They would say that no, we live in a society that values women more than men, that gives women, that protects women in certain areas where men don't get that protection. And it would also suggest that there's a certain amount of racism, sexism, whatever, towards the groups that third wave feminists say are protected and served. Now, while I think both sides, both of these two polarities, definitely have some good points, um, the majority of what they say each time is complete horseshit, and they both spit in the face of egalitarianism. Turtling a Monkey is going to be openly against egalitarianism, actually saying he's against it, but he's going to conflate it with third wave feminism, with this pushing women above men, not seeing everybody as equal, at least in a political and human rights point of view, which is what I do as an egalitarian. Third wave feminists view true egalitarianism, as racism, but what they do is they are racist and sexist and promote supremacy under the guise of egalitarianism. Some of them believe, I think many of them believe they are egalitarian, but they're actually supporting supremacy. So we're going to go over and watch this video. We already skipped a little bit of it, and we're going to hear what he has to say, and I'll be pausing and everything else along the way.
Hey everyone, today I really want to focus.
Oh shit! Let me make sure something's going on right. I didn't check any technical difficulties.
Focus on egalitarianism. I believe
good.
very strongly that it is egalitarianism, the belief in equality, that is the literal problem in Western civilization. People like to blame feminism or these different sort of isms, but all of these isms come from this belief, this moral imperative of equality.
And that's what he said. He's conflating it. Now, you could argue that egalitarianism sparked the rise of groups like Black Lives Matter, third wave feminists, intersectional feminists, LGBTQ, XYZ. That those groups are, they're a generational evolution of the idea of egalitarianism that's gone off the path, that's strayed from the original, concept. However, it's not the fault of pure egalitarianism. It is the fault of those that have taken it to supremacy extremes.
It's so foundational to our culture that I can almost guarantee that at least half my audience listening to me right now is cringing.
Well, yeah, because you're conflating things that are not equal.
They're questioning what's wrong with me. How can I be questioning equality? Equality is such a perfect, good thing.
Well, there's also a difference between what type of equality you're talking about. Most modern feminism and modern civil rights groups or social justice advocacy groups are not pushing for equality of, basic rights or equality of opportunity or equality of treatment by the government or the state. They're asking for equality of outcome, where no matter what you put in, you get out the same product, which is not equality. That's communism, Marxism. It's a faux sort of equality that a lot of young hipsters like. My generation, the fucking millennials like.
It is so foundational to Western civilization. It's one of the great pillars of Western civilization. How dare I question equality?
Actually, it's not necessarily Western. Marxism and communism really sparked out of Eastern Europe and Northern Asia, Russia. That's where it really became really popular. Soviet Russia. It's really big in most Southeast Asian nations like China as well. So it's actually not the equality you're about to talk about. Equality of outcome is not a Western concept. Equality of opportunity is a Western concept. There are two different ideas. So,
but it is equality. It is egalitarianism, the application of equality across things which are fundamentally unequal, which is causing all the problems in society.
And that's the difference. Now, to his credit, and he does go over this, and if you watch any of his other videos, which I recommend, there are a lot of good kernels of truth and a lot of good, challenging, thought-provoking ideas that this guy brings. So I would say definitely check it out. Same thing with any other person who approaches these concepts, whether they have radical ideas or not, with rational, calm, and speak their ideas in a way that's supposed to be engaging and not treating you like you're an idiot or demanding you believe in it, but being open as if it's a conversation. I definitely advise checking them out, because they may disagree with you, but you might find that there are kernels of truth in every single ideology, every single idea. Everyone's speaking, even if they're lying, they're not 100% lying. And it's good to know what other people think, and you might learn something about it. I learned a little bit about listening to this. Same thing with some third wave feminists I've listened to or talked to. I've learned some things about their perspective or about their world that I was able to check and verify, or had a good point. They were able to verify it was a good point. So, to his credit, though, he does go on to express that not only is he talking about the equality of outcome, but he does talk about equality of opportunity, and he challenges equality of opportunity later. But he does kind of conflate the two as being one, which is not true.
All the problems in society that we complain about, all the different isms, are all caused by egalitarianism. It is the central ism, which is the foundation of all these other isms. Now, in my guide to feminism, I talked about the social, political, and economic equality, how these were euphemisms for equality of outcomes. However, not every definition of egalitarianism includes the part which mentions social, political, and economic equality.
See what I mean? He's conflating egalitarianism with equality of outcome. I've seen this video before a long time ago. And I actually made a response to it a long time ago, back when I used to film with my face being on camera. But now I don't film my face being on camera. I like this better. It makes it easier to respond. We can watch the video together and I go. Sometimes when I do a product video, I will put my logo over it, but excuse me. This sort of radio host live stream stuff's really digging me, or I'm really digging it, one of the two. I like it this way.
For example, Merriam-Webster mentions the social, political, and economic equality, but other dictionaries do not. Now, Wikipedia defines egalitarianism as a trend of thought which favors equality for all people. Egalitarian doctrines maintain that all humans are equal in fundamental worth or social status.
And that's the thing. Fundamental worth is extremely open-ended. Fundamental worth could mean the fact that they're each a human life, that they're each an American citizen, that they're each a person with the cognitive awareness of pain and suffering. Thus, they deserve to be treated with a certain amount of dignity and be given a certain amount of rights. That they all have certain rights, like, things like that. That's more of what I think that means. However, it can be interpreted to mean anything because they didn't use any specificity. There's no specificity about it. It was just, these fundamental things, and it's like, okay, well, that could mean anything. If you're a feminist, the fundamental ideas are that you're all treated the same and all have the same outcome. And, a true egalitarian, libertarian like me would say, well, no, the equality should be how you are treated by the government and the opportunity, the fact that you are treated as if the things as if your differences don't matter. Your differences don't apply. What do you all have in common? You're all human beings. You're all American citizens, whatever. That's what the basis of your treatment is on, essentially. That's how it works with the egalitarianism I subscribe to, and a lot of people do.
Now, this concept of fundamental equal worth is very important. Some of the videos I do, particularly the ones about men being smarter than women,
no.
I get a lot of criticism talking about, yes, men are this and men are that, but, everything's all equal in the end. Men and women are just different.
Well, there's a certain level of there's just difference. But difference doesn't mean that you're not necessarily equal in value. Tell me, who's more valuable, a doctor or a farmer? Off the top of your head, no context. Who's more valuable, a doctor or a farmer? Someone who can provide you with a ton of food, has land, has animals, has the ability to do the work, or someone who is a doctor? No context. You don't know. You can't answer that. Same thing. Who's more valuable, a firefighter or a police officer? You can't answer that. That is the point. There's differences, but equality, the value depends on the situation and on the application. Who's more valuable to say maybe to children? More than likely a woman is. Who's more valuable to say maybe a really, a workplace that needs a lot of physical strength, a lot of physical labor, people who are willing to work extreme long hours, potentially get injured, stuff like that, stuff that is grueling and bearing, lifting over 100 pounds. Men probably. That doesn't mean that either one is any more or less equal. That's the issue. You can't, now, you can say for that situation, maybe a man is more valuable for the job than a woman. Same with that. The first couple years of child development, a woman is more valuable than a man. You don't need daddy around as much. Sorry, kids. But it doesn't mean that a man is less valuable as a whole or a woman is less valuable as a whole. That is the issue here. You're applying situational value to overall value. So tell me, if you had to pick someone to be a wide receiver or a power forward for you in sports, would you pick a black man or a white man? Most of you probably thought a black man. Exactly. Does that mean that black men are more valuable than white men across the board? No. You could lay out reasons why. There's a good chance the black man is probably more qualified than the white man. It's racist, sure, a bit, but you have your reasons. But it doesn't mean that one is more valuable than the other across the board. It's certain situations. And there are plenty of times where it blends. There are certain men that I'm pretty sure you would rather have. There are certain women you would have over certain men in that physical job. There are certain men that are probably better parents than certain women, even in those early stages, at being a parent. Yeah, it's little things. Like there's so much complexity that goes into that. You can't just wrap it off as one thing, and that's what's really upsetting about that.
But we have equal worth.
We
now,
do.
This concept,
Because every human being, that's the key word, human being, human being, Homo sapien sapien. Yes, we are all Homo sapien sapien. Thus, as all being Homo sapien sapien, we have equal value. Now, we all have different values when it comes to our career choices, our skills, our financial situation, our age, everything else can play into it. But deep down, we are all seen as being politically equal in our rights, equal in how our governments should treat us and how we should treat each other. But that's just it's gonna go over your head.
of equal worth between men and women is never explained. It's
Just did.
never actually proven. It's just asserted.
We are all human beings. On that, we can logically say we are all equal. It's something we all have in common. Equality requires commonality. There's the commonality. There's the equality. Bam. Logically just fried your ass.
All this equality is asserted. When you look at the facts, it's clear that this is not the case. Men and women are not of equal worth.
Cumulative number of surgical abortions at Planned Parenthood Federation of America. And what does this have to do with anything? What does abortion have to do with equality? Can you explain? You're talking about asserting things or making points without any explanation. This has no explanation.
Now, my main point, which I touched on in a previous video called The Case for Patriarchy, is that a patriarchal system which favors men is a fair system.
No, it is not. No system that favors anyone is a fair system. A system that treats everyone, that gives, pretty much, it's this way. A fair system requires as little involvement as possible. No weighing things down for people, no lifting people up. Everyone is seen as the same. If everyone in the world were to be dumped into a desolate wasteland with no help, all they had was themselves, that is a fair system. There is no favoritism, nor is there any bias. Fair does not include favoritism or bias.
Because men do more. Thus, they are entitled to more.
Okay, that explains why. What you've explained is how we don't live in a patriarchy, but it seems like a patriarchy. Because the gender you've described is partaking more in maybe more valued fields. They're doing more STEM fields. They're pushing more to be management. They're doing more in the military. That is where they are succeeding because that gender is gravitating towards it. So they're reaping the benefit of gravitating towards a valued area. Okay? All you've done is debunked third wave feminism. You haven't proven any necessity or any justification for a patriarchy. You've proven that an egalitarian system that is fair in treating everyone equally would still result in uneven results, but that's okay because it's about treating people equally at the start.
They're being rewarded commensurate with their contribution.
Exactly. An egalitarian system would be one that would happen. It's a vacuum, essentially. It's a rights vacuum. Not a rights vacuum, you know what I mean. It's a bias vacuum. There's no bias in there. If you allow for bias, you're going to have weaker men that women who could do the job better, the men would still be doing more, even though they might just be lazy motherfuckers who don't do anything. Those women now who are driven and want to do stuff, they will not be able to achieve that and do what they could do, and they're not getting rewarded for their hard work and drive. Do you see the issue there? And it's the same if you flip it and do what feminists want, where you have people who are not qualified and don't have a desire to be in management or be in certain roles or haven't worked to earn it, be put into it, they're going to be putting the company at risk, people's lives at risk, their own well-being and career at risk, because they aren't into it, they don't want it, and you've now taken someone who worked so hard to get there themselves, you're destroying their opportunity where they might deserve it. You're just the reverse. You're just flipping the genders. You're not any better.
By treating men and women equally, you're actually discriminating against the man.
No, you're not. Treating people equally is not discrimination. Treating ideas equally can be seen as bias, maybe, but even then, no. If you give ideas equal talking time, but then look at the facts and say, well, this group has this idea has facts and evidence and logic, and this idea doesn't, and you are unbiased and objective and base it off evidence alone, you're still being fair. You're just allowing the better to win. There's nothing wrong with letting the better to win, but you don't help what you think is the better to win. That's where you're being wrong.
Because the men do more, and yet you're rewarding them less, and you're propping up the woman who does less.
Here's the issue, too. You're saying you're rewarding them less. How are men being rewarded less? Alright, now this is where I'm going to sound like a fucking third-wave feminist to you. But look at the presidency. All have penises. Now, that's not a patriarchy. It's just that more men have tried for the presidency than women. We've seen more presidential candidates that are men than women in our history. So, statistically speaking, men are going to do better at it. They're going to get it more likely. How many male CEOs do we have? What about extremely popular and wealthy athletic, sports stars? Mostly men. Because they have done that. Because they have earned it. They are reaping the benefits of it. Because they're in the egalitarian system. It spits in the face of the shit that you're talking about. What about doctors or scientists who are male and are heads of university study areas, heads of university labs, heads of research organizations? It spits in the face of your argument.
And treating them equally in the name of equality. So you can have fairness. You can have a system that's fair, that treats people fairly according to what they do, how they behave, their intrinsic worth. Or you can have an equal system where everyone's treated equally, regardless of who they are, what they do, how much they contribute, whatever.
And that's the thing. You're adding that as how much they contribute. How much someone contributes. First off, this is bullshit here. It doesn't matter what you believe. C.S. Lewis said a lot of stupid things quoted to religion. Just because it's a... Richard Dawkins says fucking stupid things. Sam Harris says fucking stupid things. Christopher Hitchens has said things I disagree with. I've fucking done a video me attempting to debunk an idea of his. So, quotes from authority are a fallacy, and go fuck yourself. Second, you're talking about contribution. Treating someone equally, regardless of contribution. Pretty much that means that you're not going to let someone who can't contribute as much or isn't contributing as much be abused by those who do, or be abused by the majority, or have their right to still have a voice. Does that make sense? And the ones who contribute more are going to see more reward, are going to be, especially in a democracy, more than likely. So the people who are leading and are providing more are going to be valued more by their democracy, by the group. So they will be those people with their money or their time will reward those people more than they would the person who's sitting around not doing anything. But the person who's sitting around not doing anything still has basic human rights. And that's what egalitarianism is about, the basic human rights, not about communism. Now, you're conflating egalitarianism with fucking communism and Marxism, and it's really getting aggravating.
Whatever. The anti-feminist egalitarians have no philosophical leg to stand on.
I keep giving them to you.
They can complain about the applications of the law which discriminate against men, but egalitarianism, depending on the definition you use, is for the social, political, and economic equality of different groups.
Agreed. And I do see some of the issues, the problems with the legal system and how it treats men in certain areas. Don't disagree there. But not all MRAs, not all feminists are egalitarians, and the ones that are, the ones that do want to see equality politically, legal equality essentially, equality in the realms of everybody having the same worth vote, everyone having the same basic human rights, not being tortured, not being thrown in jail for no reason, having a right to a trial, being able to speak freely, being able to be a part of a protest, being able to defend themselves, whether it be legally or in a time of danger. Things like that, being able to have privacy and not be harassed, or you can say have their privacy destroyed by the government. Those are basic rights that we value as a Western society. So to attack those, because this is what I hear you saying. What you're saying essentially is women don't deserve those rights because men typically work more. And that is a weak and bullshit argument. And it's really upsetting to hear because there's no real rationality behind it. The rationality you keep providing is, well, egalitarianism is bad. Well, what is it? Well, you conflate egalitarianism with Marxism. You're just starting to describe egalitarianism like, oh yeah, equality of opportunity, and then you go into equality of outcome and hit equality of outcome. So you're really not upset with egalitarianism, you're upset with socialism, with Marxism, with communism, with the idea that the government should favor certain groups or rig certain systems to have equality of outcome. But what you ironically are advocating for is a version of that is fascist, where those of a particular favored group are always given the better outcome. So you support a form of fascism, a sort of economical, political fascism, where men are the favored class. Most extreme feminists support the same fascism but for women. They want a matriarchal society. You want a patriarchal society. No. It should be a meritocracy, which, guess what? That's egalitarian.
Including men and women. And in order to achieve this equality of outcomes, men must be discriminated against. So what are they complaining about? Either they don't subscribe to that particular definition of egalitarianism,
like me,
or they aren't really egalitarians at all.
No. Most people who believe in equality of outcome are not necessarily egalitarians. They're usually third-wave feminists, communists, Marxists. They believe in social Marxism, which isn't necessarily egalitarianism. It's called social Marxism. Read.
Oh. Now, I'm not trying to reach or convince women or feminists of this. I mean, they're a lost cause.
Okay, way to just close the door to people. I still think I can convince the most hardened feminist, or the most hardened conservative, or the most hardened liberal, or the most hardened Marxist that my ideas are better. I try to do so through logic, through reasoning, through evidence. It's called having a conversation and not giving up on people. Maybe I'm just a little bit more optimistic and a little bit less selfish. Who knows? Or maybe I'm more selfish and think that maybe it's an ego thing. Maybe I think I'm just that good at discussing shit with people. But I don't give up on people or completely tune them out. I don't just say, oh, you're a feminist, fuck you, I'm not going to talk to you. Oh, you're a conservative Christian, fuck you, I'm not going to talk to you. No. You leave the door open to every single person who could be hearing your ideas, because you never know what they're going to tell you, and you never know how they will take what you say. You might actually reach them. Even if they don't necessarily change their mind, they might understand your position better, and maybe slowly over time learn that, well, maybe your position is closer to the truth than theirs. So, in a way, trying to convince you sound just like a third-wave feminist. I'm not going to reach men or these MRAs because they're a lost cause. They have a penis, so all they think about is fucking and raping women. Because that's all men do, is rape women. So I'm just going to try to reach my sisters out there, especially my sisters of color, because that's what they need. And they need to know that we're all in this together, and we need to take down the patriarchy, because it's racist and sexist and homophobic and Islamophobic and all the phobics. And oh my gosh, every time I say phobic, I want to fucking throw up. That's what you sound like. Like, fuck.
I'm trying to reach these self-professed egalitarians in the manosphere who call themselves anti-feminists or men's rights activists or advocates or whatever the A stands for these days.
See, that's the thing. You're trying to reach me. But your reasoning is shit.
I'm trying to appeal to their logic and reason.
Then provide a logical argument.
I want to show you that egalitarianism is horseshit.
Okay. Then you need to debunk all of egalitarianism. If you're just attacking social Marxism, most egalitarians who are anti-feminist are anti-social Marxist. They're in favor of a meritocracy. Okay? And you're describing essentially an enforced meritocracy, but it's not even a meritocracy because a meritocracy does not require enforcement. Like, you don't understand. You really need to talk to some libertarians. I hope you don't describe yourself as one.
It doesn't actually exist. Men and women are not equal. They don't have fundamentally the same worth. Men are worth more to humanity.
Well, no. See, that's the thing. We'd rather be equal in freedom. Freedom. Equal in freedom and rights. Equal to individual right. Individualism is the essence of being equal. If you focus your equality based on how you treat the individual, then you have no reason to worry about the group. That's the thing. That's the thing that you don't get. That's the thing that fucking Black Lives Matters doesn't get. That's the thing that third wave feminism doesn't get. That's the thing that these extreme right-wing conservatives don't get. Equality is about the individual level. The veil of ignorance. You don't know what their gender and race and sexuality and religion and socioeconomic stance is. All you know is that they're a human being. How would you treat them? Well, I treat them with dignity and respect, and they have these rights. Exactly. Turns out they're a fucking black lesbian who you voted for Trump. Oh, see, you get that taken out of the way before you allow your own biases to get in the way. The whole point is for you to remove your biases from people, to treat them as people. And a lot of times you judge the merit of their character or their actions. That's the point, and that's what you're talking about, what you contribute to the group. That's a part of your actions, the merit of your actions, because you contribute a lot to the group. You work hard, you provide, you never give up, you're reliable. That speaks to character and action, and you'll be valued for it. So you don't understand.
As a whole, women are inferior. It doesn't mean they're lesser creatures that don't deserve certain rights and protections.
Then you're a fucking egalitarian. If you believe that every human being is entitled to certain human rights, then there's no problem.
Children are inferior to adults.
Well, yeah, because they're smaller and not as developed mentally. Oh, fucking well. Adults are their caretakers 90% of the time. We don't allow children to be on their own because of that. However, women are not necessarily inferior to men. They may be physically inferior on average. That's about it. Women live longer. Women are also able to have a higher pain tolerance, usually, when it comes to real severe pain. Come on, Do you think you could push a fucking baby out your penis? No. Women can push babies out their vagina.
And that's what I'm talking about. To say that men and women are equal without any proof is just as illogical and absurd as saying that adults and children are equal.
Adults and children are both entitled to equal basic human rights, and children are given a little bit more because they have a little bit more protection because they are not developed enough to defend themselves intellectually or physically. That's why we have ages of consent. That's why we have extremely explicit views on like child abuse. The same goes for pets and like dogs and cats. Granted, a full-grown German Shepherd could easily murder a human, no problem. However, humans are smarter, we are larger, we are physically stronger, and it's not that hard to think of. We can abuse them, especially if they have a relationship with the human. If they view the human as a friend or an owner or a master, they will allow the abuses to happen. You don't understand.
Clearly, adults and children are not equal, which is why they don't have the same rights.
Well, yeah, a child doesn't have the right to own a gun, but they both have the right to not be killed. They both have the right to face a jury of their peers, or at least to face a jury. They both have the right to, in effect, speak their mind. They don't each have the right to vote, but you're not legally a citizen until a certain age. There's a lot more that goes into it. It's not as so simple as, well, the reason why kids don't have the right to vote is because they're kids and they're inferior. No, there's a lot that goes into it. And you're just brushing over it, all of it, and sweeping with wide brushes and wide strokes. And you don't realize that... You don't realize how fallacious your arguments are. How easy they are to fall apart.
But it doesn't mean they're not human beings.
And that's where we go. That's all you need. All you need to know. And there's no more equality beyond basic human rights. Or basic political human rights, like voting and free speech, right to own a gun, shit like that. Other than that, or your right to a fair trial with a jury. An impartial jury with an impartial judge. And there you go. There you go. That's all you need. That's all I advocate for. Meritocracy away after that. So you didn't reach me. You just proven my point. Thank you.
It doesn't mean they should be mistreated or abused. It just means they're inferior and they don't have the same rights and they're not equal. But let's move on from judging men and women from their biological functions and roles to what I'll call the role-playing statistics.
When did you bring up men's or women's biological functions or roles? Excuse me. I'm the only one who's talked about that.
So in a role-playing game, you have different statistics like strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma.
I'm rolling for strength. I've got my fucking D20 right here. I got a 6. Fuck!
So if men and women were of equal worth, they would be more...
Okay then. Who's more valuable? A fighter or a sorcerer? Who's more valuable? A rogue? Or a bard? Depends, doesn't it? Who's more valuable? I mean, what would you rather have? Would you rather have... What the fuck? Fuck you. Sorry, guys. What would you rather have? Would you rather have, say, a fighter or a ranger? Or would you rather have a battle mage or a healer? What's more valuable? You can't say, can you? See, that's where your issue comes. Balance, diversity. Humans are we're a social species. We require a team, not just 2 or 3, like 5 or 10 or 20 to function. And like with role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons or World of Warcraft or Destiny, if you're into the more futuristic ones, you need to have teams that are balanced. You need to have teams that have different strengths with different weaknesses, but they're all valuable. However, their value does differ slightly depending on the situation. If you're going up against a horde of monsters, you'd rather have a ranger and a rogue and an archer and or a hunter and a fighter on your side. People who can take a lot of damage, who can deal a lot of damage, are efficient in combat. If you have something you need to steal, you need to have a thief or a rogue, or maybe a mage that can cast a spell of invisibility to be able to steal what you need to or take whatever item you need. If you're taking on a magical foe, you need people with magical powers. Don't you see? If you're trying to solve a puzzle, you want someone who's got high intelligence and wisdom. If you need a really good tank, you need someone with high constitution. And if you want a leader, they need to have a lot of charisma. Don't you understand how these are all different measurements of the different diversity and value of each different thing? See, men have higher strength, dexterity, and charisma, where women are more wisdom and intelligence. And we could argue a bit more dexterity as well. But there's a bit of a balance. Quite a few men are intelligent and wise. Quite a few women are intelligent and wise. Men are more strong and charismatic. Women are a little bit more agile. And I'd say probably a little bit better constitution. A little bit stronger when it comes to actually dealing with pain and pressure. So, there's a balance there. You don't seem to understand. You're trying to create one character and saying, this is the one character we should all go with. But that's not how humans work. We are a colony, a community, a clan type species. We don't just have one or two people. We have large tribes. We have big packs. Yeah, usually men are at the head of it. That charisma thing. That's why. But it doesn't mean that everyone in that group isn't valuable. And their value may differ depending on the situation. If you have a lot of women that know how to sew and you need a lot of fucking clothing for war, a lot of clothing and armor for war, well, guess who just became really fucking valuable? Probably the most important value right there. Or winter's coming and you have some women who know how to sew. They're the most valuable at that point. Your farmer's more valuable for your food. Your doctor's more valuable for the sick. Don't you understand? It's diversity. I'm not promoting that fake fucking globalist diversity, but natural basic diversity is important. It goes in the face of what you're talking about. We're not even fucking 6 minutes in. I need to stop drinking and stop talking.
More or less equal across these different spectrums. While men may be stronger, women may be more dexterous or have higher constitution or
you even see it. Holy shit.
Be more intelligent or more charismatic.
No, I'm sorry. I would say that men on average are more charismatic. I'm just saying. There are plenty of charismatic women. Definitely. But look at comedians. That's how you know.
Should be these ways where everything balances out in the end. In role-playing games, they actually do this. You know, they actually balance classes and races and all this other stuff so that the game is fair and fun. However, nature doesn't work that way. Women really don't win any of them. Even if you argue they may win one or two, the majority of these attributes go squarely to men.
How many gymnasts do you know that are really... Who would you... When you think of a gymnast, who do you usually think of? There's your dexterity. Men definitely win strength. Constitution, like I said, women live longer. Constitution goes to women. Intelligence, pretty balanced. Wisdom, pretty balanced. Charisma, men. So, men win 2, women win 2, and they tie on 2. So, your argument's...
If men are better than women in, let's say, 4 out of 6 of these attributes, they're not equal. If men are stronger, faster, have higher constitution, and are more intelligent, and let's say we give women charisma and wisdom, just as, let's just say that they're more charismatic and they're more wise than men for no apparent reason, just let's just say it. That's still only 2 attributes compared to 4 attributes. And if we're just being objective, we would have to conclude that men are superior to women. That if this was a role-playing game, men would simply be overpowered. To use a gaming term, they'd have to be nerfed, or women would have to be buffed in order to make them equivalent. But of course, again, nature doesn't work that way. Now, so to help me out to explain some of these attributes, I invited Sexy MGTOW. He's going to talk about the male advantages in strength, dexterity, and constitution. Take it away, Sexy.
All right, so we're going to cut it off there because I really do think that, and it's in only a quarter in, and he's giving it off to someone else, but it's the basics right there, and I've listened to the whole thing. It's essentially just continuation of those analogies and everything else. So we're gonna change over, and we're going to discuss some feminist shit here. So let's go. Who do we want to talk about when talking about feminism? Well, who better than good old Lacey Green? Let's watch our own videos. Male pleasure. What the fuck? Feminism and LGBT.
Version of the perfect
Nope.
classic comedy is.
Alright. We'll do with why I'm a feminist.
Tomorrow,
You can grow it out. Are you even up there?
don't miss the best reviewed comedy of the year.
Nick, I like you. We can do it in the Petland stockroom.
I can't send this.
Oh my god.
The Edge of 17, rated R.
Okay.
The rumors are true. What they've been saying about me. I have to come clean. I, Lacey Green, am a feminist.
What kind, though?
What? You're a lesbian now?
Not all lesbians are feminists. Not all feminists are lesbians. Funny, but...
Man hater, hairy armpits.
yeah, the first one's definitely correct.
Say it ain't so. It's gonna be okay. Those are just stereotypes.
First one's kind of accurate.
I think that feminism is both kick-ass and super important.
Okay, so, common trope. Feminists, whenever in a debate with you, we're trying to set up a thing. They're like, here's the dictionary definition. Now I'm going to completely betray that definition and use my own shit. So a social movement for gender and sex equality. So egalitarianism. A personal commitment to understanding and achieving gender equality in everyday life. Egalitarianism. They forget. Feminism has the word feminine in it. Has the word feminine. Meaning it's mostly in a group, an advocacy on the part of women. And the reason being is because women used to have subpar rights. They weren't equal politically. Now they pretty much are. There's a little bit of favor towards them in certain areas, a little bit of favor to men in certain areas, but for the most part, essentially politically equal. They've gained the same rights to property, to voting, to all the constitutional rights, freedom of speech, privacy, shit like that. So yeah, I mean, there's certain areas we could say that they're a little more equal, a lot more equal, but certain areas we could say they're a little bit, supreme above us, a little more higher class. Certain areas where they're second class, but for the most part, it's equal.
And here are a few of my reasons why. I'm a feminist because girls are taught in public school that once she has sex, she'll lose a part of herself. Because
as in losing her virginity? Or her hymen? Hymen is a part of you. And your virginity is a thing. Men are taught that too. What?
there's women who have a lot of sex are sluts while guys are studs.
No, we're called man whores if we have a lot of sex. Or playas. Or fuck boys now. And it's common knowledge that fuck boys just want to fuck. That man whores just want to fuck. That you don't want to get into relations with them. That they're just have commitment. They have commitment issues and they're immature and shit like. I don't know if you're at all aware, Lacey, any of the fucking stereotypes attributed to men who sleep around. But there's quite a few negative ones. Kind of like how there's quite a few negative ones attributed to women who sleep around. Some of them on both are earned. Some of them are not.
Amanda Todd, Felicia Garcia, Charisse Morales, because of the sexism that drove them to end their lives.
Sexism doesn't drive you to end your life. Depression ends you to drive your life. Do not blame society ideas for your own choices. Especially if they have a mental health issue. It's a mental health issue, not fucking society.
It's because I was told the first time I had sex would be painful.
And it probably was, wasn't it?
And bloody.
And it probably was, wasn't it?
I was terrified.
It probably was, wasn't it?
Because 1 in 4 young women is assaulted and society still asks, what was she wearing?
Citation needed. I like how you say 1 in 4 women, yet men and kids are also in there. What you probably do is take all of the sexual assaults reported and then apply it just to women.
Because male victims of rape aren't believed since guys want sex all the time. Anyway, right?
Oh wow, you actually tried to tackle a stereotype attributed to men about how we can't be victims of sexual assault, and how we also, it's the same argument you use when you put a false rape. Guys just want sex anyway, right? So of course he tried to rape me, right?
Because of catcalling and street harassment. Because no, it is not a f***ing compliment. But feminist because...
Oh gosh, catcalling or saying you're beautiful, compliments. That's subjective, hun.
My first boyfriend sexually assaulted me, and
I'm sorry about that.
when I went to my friends for help, they called me a slut.
I'm sorry for that. Maybe you should have went to the cops.
Because when I speak at universities about the absolute necessity of consent, there are people in the audience who laugh.
Probably because your version of consent is fucking retarded. I've been to those fucking little seminars where they talk about what consent is and what consent isn't. They state tell me if this logically makes sense. They state that if both of them are intoxicated, it's rape towards the woman. That makes no sense. It's sexual assault if someone's intoxicated and they have sex, then it's sexual assault either way or it isn't. Okay? You can't have these weird blurred lines that favor one gender or the other. Also, there's a difference between... You don't seem to understand that consent is more than just, can I fuck you? Yes. There's the more that goes into that communication. Facial expression, tone, body language. Most of our sexual acknowledgement and courting is done through body language, okay? So there's certain ways of giving consent and receiving consent without speaking a fucking word. You watch any romantic comedy, they just lock eyes and kiss. They don't say, fucking Bradley Cooper doesn't say to Jennifer Lawrence, "Hey Jen, can I kiss you?" No. And if she doesn't want it, she can push away. She can say no. She can say stop. There's so many things that can be done. And you say, well, then that's just reactionary. That's how it goes sometimes. And if they stop and apologize, sorry, I thought that we were having a moment. I'm sorry, I didn't know. And they they leave or whatever, then it's fine. They misread your body language or something. Maybe think about how you position yourself a little bit, and if you don't think that you did anything to show like any sort of interest, then they're just a fucking creep. Okay, like, you don't get it. There's a difference between leaning in for a kiss. Thank you. There's a difference between leaning in for a kiss and trying to grab someone by the ass or by the tit or something, or by the dick. There's a difference, okay? Fuck.
Because boobs are used to sell everything from burgers to soap, but don't
Because men and women both like boobs.
you dare breastfeed out in the open.
This is where we agree, actually. I'm pro breastfeeding. Am I a feminist?
Because this shocks and terrifies people.
So you do have hairy armpits. See, so you said like, oh, those aren't just stereotypes. However, you're man-hating and you have hairy armpits. So you're 2 for 3.
I'm not even kidding. You should see some of the looks that I get.
Well, that's different. One, people don't really like care about seeing people's armpits exposed. And 2, a lot of people don't like men having hairy armpits. It's just body hair isn't popular anymore, especially in our generation, Lacey. It's not popular. Being a big old hairy man isn't seen as sexy anymore. It's like, ugh, you sweaty, hairy slob. And men deal with that more than women.
I'm a feminist because of how much pressure we put on girls to value their appearance above everything else.
Pressure to value your appearance? By what? Other women? By the magazines that women choose to continue to read that are targeted towards women? Maybe you should do something about that. How about you stop buying the magazine, you stop talking to each other like that, and you stop caring about what some fucking skank named Susie says about what you should care about. Fuck them. You care about what you want. I was told the same thing growing up myself. You gotta care about what you look like. You gotta shave. You gotta do your hair up. You've gotta wear this cologne or that aftershave or that deodorant, or you gotta dress this way. Don't dress that way. I was told the same thing. Because I should care about certain parts of my appearance above just being a cool person. So fuck off.
Because of labiaplasties, boob jobs, hymenoplasties.
Okay. Just because women get breast implants doesn't mean you're supposed to care. Women getting breast implants get them for multiple reasons. You know what one of those is? Because they're survivors of breast cancer who lost their breasts to breast cancer. So fuck yourself.
Because our culture considers it normal to cut off part of an infant's penis.
Again, you occasionally go back to like, oh, I'm pro men. Kind of. Only when they're a victim, though. Fuck off. Yeah, I'm in favor of adults getting that done. For themselves, but not anything else. I mean, don't do it to a kid. It fucking hurts.
I'm a feminist because male orgasm in the movies is rated PG-13, while female orgasm is rated R.
Really? Citation, please.
I'm a feminist because in 2013 there were over 700 bills proposed to regulate a woman's body. And for men, the rightful number, 0.
But what do you mean about regulating a woman's body? Are you talking all about abortion? Because abortion's a touchy topic. It's not necessarily regulating a woman's body. For most of those people, they're not like, we're going to regulate women's bodies because fuck women. For them, their concern, as much as I disagree with them, their concern is the fetus and eventually the child that would come from it. That's their concern. So instead of being ignorant and saying, well, they just wanted to regulate women and tell women how to do shit and do their bodies. And also, 700 bills from Congress. Are you talking about all the United States? Every single city, county, state legislature, and in the federal legislature? Is that what you're talking about? Because, yeah, you're going to have that much across all of that about one term because every single area deals with abortion a little bit differently. That's how it fucking is, okay? Sorry. That's how it is. I don't agree with the pro-life arguments. I think they're stupid. I think they're just anti-abortion arguments. but I don't think they're anti-woman because they think they are advocating in their mind for a child. Okay, be a little more open-minded.
I'm a feminist because the political body making decisions about my body is over 80% male.
You know how you can change that, Lacey? You can vote or run for office.
Wow. Because men
You can vote or run for office. Go fuck yourself.
occupy the top rungs of not just politics, but every industry in the world.
You can change that. Get an education in a STEM field or business and actually do that. Here's the thing though, Lacey. You are a YouTube creator, a content creator. You're evidence that the glass ceiling doesn't fucking exist.
I'm a feminist because jobs!
Jobs?
Jobs! Women.
What, Steve Jobs is a feminist or something? If women want more jobs, they can create more jobs. They can go into business for themselves. They can be entrepreneurs. There's so much that can be done. Like, the sky's the limit, and you just can't fucking see it because you don't want to. You want to sit on YouTube and bitch and complain like I'm doing right now. What the fuck?
Women only hold 1 in 4 STEM jobs.
Well, you know what you can do about that? You can go to college and study in the STEM fields and then apply to do that. How many women are graduate? Okay, so 75%. What's the percentage of men to women getting that? It's usually about 75% of those getting those degrees for that are men. So it statistically makes sense. It means that women aren't studying it. That's on them. Just like with men. Most men don't study gender studies. You see more women in gender studies. It doesn't mean that gender studies in itself is a bit sexist, but it doesn't mean that the gender studies system, the university system, is sexist because there's more gender studies majors that are women than are men. It means that more women want to be gender studies majors. That's all.
They own 6% of TV stations.
Oh well.
5% of executive positions in the media.
Because you don't try for it.
When I was younger and I took on a leadership role, all the adults in my life said, "You're being bossy."
Well, were you being bossy? I have currently 2 managers that are women. One can be a bit more bossy than the other. One's not very bossy and a lot more workable and a bit more charismatic. One's kind of more of the lead by example and inspiration. The other one's a bit more of a whip cracker. So one will get called bossy more. She's aware of it, and she's fine with it because it's how she does it. And she's okay with that. Holy fucking shit. I hope both my managers could see this and just bitch slap you. Because fuck. And they're both empowered people who are great examples of just people working hard to get in a place, who have been managers in the past, or who have done other jobs and worked up the ladder and tried to get to a place. And your shit spits on the shit that they do, and it's fucking annoying. I have had almost every single job I've worked, with the exception of 2, I've had female managers, and they're equal or more female managers, and none of them, very few, ever are super bossy or anything, or told, well, you're just being bossy. Usually any guy or girl that has an issue with a manager has their own issues and don't like any manager. Maybe you were just being a bitch.
And let's not forget that sneaky little pay gap.
Oh, fuck you with the pay gap. It doesn't fucking exist. It's not... For the 1,000,000,000th time on YouTube, we shall quickly debunk the gender pay gap. The gender pay gap is a statistical tweak taking the average income of all women in the United States and the average income of all men in the United States, or taking the average of each and comparing them. By comparison, women earned more. This is why women earned less. Now, this doesn't include factors like women just working part-time jobs, being parents, stay-at-home moms, any women who are retired, any women who take leave, any women who had children that year, any women who don't want to work overtime, any men who work overtime, who work in extremely dangerous jobs, who work jobs that have hazard pay, who are in the military, or who are CEOs. Nope, it's just that, nope. See? They get paid differently. So we're a sexist society. It's kind of like when you see those liberal socialists who post that thing that says, Denmark's got a $20 minimum wage. Then you go research Denmark and they have no minimum wage. They've actually just got really good unions. That the worst union, I guess you'd say the worst union, the minimum pay for that union is $20 an hour. So like it's really just they're tweaking things to try and sound a certain way. That's what you've done. It's dishonest. It's disgusting, and I hate it.
By the time the average woman reaches 60 years old, she will have made $450,000 less than a man in the same exact position.
Statistics, please. Now, here's the thing. If that's true, why is that? How much overtime did the man work? How many holidays did the man work? How many kids did the woman have while being in that job? How much time did she take off for her kids or for other things? What is their spousal situation? Are they the breadwinner or are they not? If the man is the breadwinner in his house and the woman is not, more than likely the woman's gonna be like, well, I don't have to work as much. I don't have to work as much. Is it their second job? Where they don't feel they don't need to work as much, and the other guy's like, this is my primary income, and the woman's like, this is not my primary income. There's so many things that go into that. Just in the same job thing. But what's their base pay? The same. See, if this were true, if you could pay women 73 cents or 75 cents or 78 cents on the dollar for men, we would have two different minimum wages. We'd have $10 an hour in California for men, and we'd have $7.80 an hour for women. But we don't do that because it's illegal. Because paying people different wages for the same position is illegal. Also, there's a certain point, though, in the upper middle class where you get into jobs that their wage, especially like in, jobs where there's more responsibility, like financial officers, or any sort of entrepreneur or salesperson, like selling on-air time or stuff like that, they are going to have commissions and they're going to have wages that they can bargain for, that they can negotiate. And men are going to negotiate a little bit more aggressively. A lot of times because they have kids. They say, hey, I got a wife and kids at home. That's a common argument. So you don't take that into consideration, and that's a big part of why we don't take you seriously on YouTube. You do good sex ed videos, though. Stick with that, Lacey.
That's like a fancy-ass house. A truckload of chocolate bars.
'Cause you're a woman.
Or 10. And hell, I'm not even surprised by it. At my first job, I learned that my less qualified male coworker was making almost twice as much as me.
Why is that? And why didn't you report it?
I'm a feminist because the media told me that women are my competition.
Do you know anything about men? Do you know anything about men? You're talking about, oh, women, we have to compete with each other. Men are meant to compete with each other in everything we do. We play sports. We buy guns. We go into the military. Everything about our economic doing things of trying to get more money is based on competition. Men live a life of competition. Okay? So go fuck off.
Destroying my friendships with them for almost 20 years.
Yeah, well, men also know how to cooperate because in the end, our goal is to succeed. We're not petty.
Because gender roles!
Gender roles don't matter.
Because of that one-size-fits-all binary that shoves us into boxes and erases who we are.
No, most of these are about maybe feminine and here's what you think. Here's the thing, not all of those are true. Most of those traits, see, you have aggressive and patient. So negative, positive. You have a negative here, positive there. Fearless, submissive. Fearless is seen as positive. That's seen as negative. Good with numbers, accepting, athletic, domestic, flirtatious, breadwinner. Now, a lot of men are flirtatious. A lot of men are quiet. A lot of women are good with numbers and athletic and fearless. A lot of aggressive women and patient men. See, you're just pushing this like, oh, well, these are the things. No. We don't accept these ideas anymore. We've learned that there are a vast, because these are character. You're describing character. Yes, we shouldn't gender character. I agree. But at the same time, we shouldn't gender character. That doesn't mean that there's fucking 30 fucking genders out there. There's only 2. And here's the thing. If there's 30 genders, then there's no such thing as transgender. Transgender only works if there are 2 genders. If there's not 2 genders, you cannot be transgender. Because what does that mean? What does trans mean? Across. Trans state. Trans Atlantic. Trans, whatever. It's across. You're going between one to another. If there's 2 genders, you can go from one gender to the other. You can transition from one thing to another. Fuck. You're an idiot. Please drop the fucking... Just wake up and learn for a second.
I'm a feminist because in 10th grade someone called my best friend a pussy and it tore him up for weeks.
That's why he was called a pussy.
And I realized the worst insult was to be compared to a woman.
No, the worst insult... Gosh. The worst insult will be something that's extremely hurtful but truthful. Like if the person's just... Like if they're in a wheelchair or if they're poor or if they're short. And to just really degrade them for that. Or... Actually, the worst insult would be for a man about success. That you're not going to amount to much, that you're never going to be happy, you're never going to be able to please the person you're with, that no one's going to love you, you're going to be left alone with no one. That's probably one of the worst insults. About having a terrible future and just destroying all hope. Being told, oh, you're a fucking pussy. I've been called a pussy hundreds of times. Half the time by people who are pussies themselves. So it doesn't fucking matter. Maybe I just have thicker skin. Or maybe your friend was just a pussy.
Because boys are shamed for being emotionally open.
But here's the thing. We're shamed for being emotionally open. But we're also shamed for having extreme emotional responses. Like being angry. Anger is an emotion. So is fear. Most adults are told to not be emotional. You notice women get shamed for being emotional too? If you're extremely hysterical or you have extreme like anxiety over nothing, or extreme like sad or upset reaction over nothing, you're told to stop being so emotional. Same with the guy. If I get pissed off over nothing, like stop being so fucking emotional. Quit being such an angry fucking asshole. Calm down and control your emotions. It's the same thing.
That's a girl thing.
No, it's not a girl thing to flip out and get angry. It's a child's thing.
And womanhood is weak.
Maybe physically. Physically, maybe. Physically. That's it. But even then, it's not really weakness. There's a million strengths I can think of that women have. So fuck off. What the fuck was that?
Never mind the fact that it was most likely a woman who pushed your body out of her vagina.
Most likely, no, it is indefinitely.
I'm a feminist because my father never once did the laundry, made dinner, or cleaned the house.
Okay, which one of your parents worked?
When I suggested he help, my grandpa told me I was out of my damn mind. Wow.
Well, yeah, it sounds like your grandparent was kind of a old-fashioned asshole. But what did your dad do? Did your dad work a 9 to 5? Was he fucking a construction worker? Did he come home from a long day just like tired and worn out, and your mother didn't work and she was doing the house duties because that was their kind of arrangement as parents, as a couple of, I go out and I'll work my ass off 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. Okay, that's great. I'll make sure the house looks clean. I'll take care of the kids. That's great. I love you. I love you. Maybe that was their arrangement, you fucking crazy person.
Wow. Out of my mind. Am I taking crazy pills?
No. But if we were to bottle your blood, we could maybe sell them.
I'm a feminist because people still say that asexual, bisexual, and trans folk don't exist.
Asexual does exist. Bisexual does exist. Pansexual does not.
I'm a feminist because same-sex marriage is a no-brainer.
That's not a feminist issue. That's a different issue. It's egalitarian, but it's not feminism.
In 34 states, it's legal to discriminate against someone who's transgender.
Is it legal to discriminate against them? Like you gotta explain this better than just being vague.
Really?
Really?
I'm a feminist because representation!
You like throw your hands up and say, something. But you just say, we should have it. You don't actually go to change anything about it.
It matters! And LGBT folks, women, and particularly women of color, hardly ever have their stories told on screen.
Do you ever watch the Oscars? Every fucking year, there's a slavery was bad, or here's another story about how blacks came out from beneath and rose to power, or how many times are there stories about women in the modern age in movies? Watch any Jennifer Lawrence movie, any of her good ones, like Joy or whatever. I'm like holy fuck.
I'm a feminist because I believe that the world should be safe for girls.
The world should be safe for everyone.
Everywhere. Because half the girls in Yemen will become child brides. Because 65% of Brazilians believe that a woman who dresses in revealing clothes deserves to be raped. Because in Saudi Arabia, women still can't vote or drive. I'm a feminist because...
Okay, then why don't you take your feminism there? Stop advocating for shit that doesn't matter here, that isn't an issue here, and go advocate over there where they fucking need it.
In every corner of the world, every day, women's bodies are used as a battleground in wars started by men.
Used as a battleground in wars started by men. How?
Raped, beaten, sold into slavery, mutilated.
That's not a battleground. And look at that, look at that, look at that. Where's the US on that? Where's the West on that? I don't see it. Hold on. I don't see it there.
Burned with acid. I'm a feminist because when I dare to get pissed off at injustice, I'm just another angry feminist who's on her period.
Because, yeah, that's what you sound like sometimes.
I'm a feminist because of the reality that there are people who would take these words more seriously
if they are coming out of my mouth.
Actually, no. Steve Stuyvesant's just as fucking stupid.
Most of all, I'm a feminist because I believe in gender equality.
No, you don't.
My eyes are open.
No, they aren't.
My mind is active.
No, it isn't.
I know we're not there yet.
Your mouth is just running.
Thanks for supporting me here on Sex Plus Babes. I would like to know, are you a feminist?
No, I'm an egalitarian, which is someone who believes in equality, unlike you.
Tell me why or why not down below, and I'll see you next time. Mwah.
Okay. So those of you who are possibly still watching, we'll take a look. Just me. Oh, is there anything in the chat? No. But those of you still watching, thank you guys for sticking with me this long. It's been about an hour, 20 minutes. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight these two things because I really cannot stand the two polar extremes of egalitarianism when it comes to gender. Those that are extremely pro men, like pro patriarchy, against women, think women are inferior and men are superior, and those that think the same thing, that men are superior and women are inferior, but they think that somehow the Western society also does when it doesn't. And they're against egalitarianism. They believe in lifting up women and pushing down men. They're like, oh, well, men are superior, so how do we fix this? We make men second-class citizens. Balances out, right? No. And they both advocate but don't actually make any changes. Lacey Green will advocate. Anita Sarkeesian will go to the UN and say, hey, I want this done. But she will not run for office. She will not actually do what is needed to change these statistics. She will not open her own business. She will not run for office. She will not become an entrepreneur. She will not study science. She expects the government to fix it. And that's the problem too with MGTOW, like Turd Flinging Monkey. He expects the government to fix it. They both expect the government to balance things out the way they think it should be, when it should just be everyone's on a level playing field, and we all make our lives and succeed on how we want to. Sure, other people influence our success as well, but it's up to us. We, me, the individual, for how that happens. And there's nothing more fucking fair or more fucking equal than that. So if you guys were able to sit through those two idiots who otherwise make great content, to be honest, Lacey Green does do a lot of good when it comes to discussing issues of sexual education, and that, like I said, she does a really good job with that. When it comes to Turtling Monkey, in his discussions about human nature, he's brilliant, but they get way off topic when they discuss gender equality. So, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for joining me. It's just me this time again, but it's cool. Sorry for any of the interruptions or anything. Sorry for it being kind of me, yawning or burping or whatever in between, it being more of a live thing. I really like doing it this way, so I want to keep doing it every Thursday at 8 p.m. I'll probably come up with a few other things throughout the week maybe, but this is what I want to do. It's my way to vent my political frustrations on this channel. So thank you guys. Like I said, just watch it afterwards. You're welcome to watch it. Let it play while you're doing some homework or some chores or whatever. Good to just listen. So thank you guys. Bye.